In this video, we're going to take all the information from the last two videos and apply them to a past exam question. Exam questions that ask you to apply the purposes of criminal sanctions to a specific criminal sanction frequently come up, so you should prioritise this area when studying for SACs and the exam. For example, part of a 2012 exam question asked, for 2 marks, if Jane is found guilty, identify one sanction that may be imposed and describe its purpose. Part of a 2014 exam question asked students, for 3 marks, to identify one sanction that may be handed down if Casey is found guilty, and to describe one of its purposes. Note that these questions ask the same thing, but were worth different numbers of marks. In the 2012 question, students received 1 mark for identifying a sanction and 1 for describing the purpose. In the 2014 exam, students were awarded 1 mark for identifying a sanction and 2 marks for describing one of its purposes. What does that mean? It means you should be able to write 2 key points when describing the purpose of a criminal sanction, but you should also be able to rein it in and use just 1 key point if the question is worth fewer marks. For now, let's look at answering the 2014 exam question. In this exam question, Casey's trial was being held in the county court. That makes imprisonment the most likely sanction to be handed down. Let's look at the purposes that imprisonment addresses, and then choose one to use in our answer. Does imprisonment achieve retribution? In almost all cases, yes. By depriving an offender of his or her liberty, imprisonment punishes the offender. Does imprisonment achieve deterrence? It's unclear. Imprisonment definitely aims to deter the general public and the offender from committing crimes, since most people don't want to have their freedom restricted, nor do they want to be in a prison environment. Yet rates of recidivism remain high, indicating that imprisonment in practice doesn't deter offenders. Does imprisonment rehabilitate offenders? There are rehabilitation programs in prisons. Some prisoners can get an education, work experience, and take part in mental health initiatives. Yet some people argue that it is hard to rehabilitate and punish someone at the same time. And since imprisonment mainly aims to punish the offender, their chances of rehabilitation may be low. Does imprisonment protect the people? Yes. Imprisonment protects the public because the offender is physically confined to a prison. Finally, does imprisonment denounce criminal behaviour? Yes. The court's ability to impose a sanction that restricts a person's liberty sends a clear message that criminal behaviour is not tolerated. Now, let's choose one of the 5 purposes. Since we can get 2 marks for describing the purpose, I'll choose deterrence. There's a little more room for discussion there than for some of the other purposes. With that in mind, here's my sample answer. Casey may be imprisoned. This means Casey will be placed in prison for a time determined by the court, which restricts her liberty. One aim of imprisonment is deterrence. The prison environment and restriction of liberty are seen as undesirable, which certainly may dissuade the general public from committing crime, and may dissuade the offender from reoffending. However, rates of recidivism are quite high, indicating that imprisonment does not specifically deter offenders. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you next time.